Hi, Jake here again with my son Jacob. Last time we talked about the Godzilla vs. Kong trailer, and this time we are going to talk about the first movie in this Godzilla monster universe, which is the 2014 Godzilla film. The only thing different this time is the four-eyed nerd reviews. We realized that he only had two eyes last time, so he got his Harry Potter glasses, and we've changed that.
Yeah, I might be wearing these every video.
This is the second Godzilla film that was made in America. The first one was the 1998 Godzilla film, which I haven't seen since I was a kid. I really dug it as a kid, but the clips that I've seen on YouTube make me think that maybe it's not as fun as I remember it being. But this one is actually a really fun movie. I really enjoy this. It's the first movie that's in this monster universe. It's this one, then it's Kong Skull Island, and then King of the Monsters, and then soon to be Godzilla vs. Kong.
Yeah, which I'm very excited for.
This film was directed by Gareth Edwards and stars Aaron Taylor Johnson, Elizabeth Olsen, and Bryan Cranston. It's kind of funny. A year after this movie, Aaron Taylor Johnson and Elizabeth Olsen will star in another movie together, which is Marvel's Age of Ultron. And in that movie, they are brother and sister. In this movie, they're husband and wife. And I'm aware that they're actors, but it's kind of funny seeing Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, who are brother and sister, kissing in this movie. So. It really weirds you out as a nerd. What do you think about that?
I just don't want to talk about it.
You don't want to talk about it?
I just don't. No, it's just too weird for me.
This movie is about Godzilla, who is trying to pretty much get in between two monsters that they call Muto, and they're trying to mate. And Godzilla is pretty much just trying to stop them. That's pretty much the whole movie. The movie starts out with Bryan Cranston and his wife in Japan working at a nuclear power plant, and there is an accident. Bryan Cranston's wife passes away during the accident, and then that's pretty much all we see, and there's kind of unexplained what's happened in that, and you don't really get to find out exactly what was going on in that scene. But then they cut to 15 years later, and their son is now an adult. It's been 15 years later, and that's Aaron Taylor Johnson and his wife, who is Elizabeth Olsen, and they get a call that his father has been arrested in Japan. So Aaron Taylor Johnson's character goes to Japan to go bail his dad out, and you find out that his dad's pretty much been obsessed with that incident for the last 15 years. He knows that something happened, but he can't really explain what happened. And he's very much spent the last 15 years of his life obsessing about what happened, and very much blaming himself. And it feels like he's trying to take that blame off of himself. He just is buried in guilt. You find out once Aaron Taylor Johnson's character and Bryan Cranston's character get together that the radiation at the nuclear power plant is very similar to what it was 15 years ago, and that's kind of ignited his interest in what's going on. And we find out that what's happening is one of the Mutos is hatching, and it's about to go meet up with the other Muto. And then from there, it's pretty much the world trying to deal with what's going on, and these giant monsters wreaking havoc all over the planet, trying to get to one another. The big thing about this movie is, first of all, out of the monster movies so far that are in this universe, it's, as I say, Godzilla, Kong Skull Island, King of the Monsters. I think this is the best of the three, but also the one that's the least amount of fun to watch, if that makes sense. It's the story is the best out of all three films. The character's the best out of all three films. But what is the big issue?
They are not showing the monsters as much as the people. The people are showing up more than the monsters. So half of this movie is just people talking.
Yeah, they do not show enough of Godzilla. There is not nearly enough of Godzilla. For the first half of the movie, all you see is you see a little bit of flashbacks of Godzilla from an event that happened in 1954, which is the same year that the very first Godzilla came out. The very first Godzilla film came out. But beyond that, you don't see much of Godzilla until near the end. And that really, as much as I actually think that these characters are interesting, as much as I do enjoy these characters, at the end of the day, it is a Godzilla film, and you want to see more Godzilla.
Yeah.
That's and then another problem as far as missing out on Godzilla is the most interesting character is Bryan Cranston. He's the character that I could have followed for the full 2 hours, and he does not stay in the movie forever. He ends up passing away a little ways into the film, and then you're stuck with Aaron Taylor Johnson, who is fine, but he's not Bryan Cranston, and he's definitely not as interesting as that character. And it kind of just as far as the human characters go, it kind of goes down a little bit once Bryan Cranston passes away. This movie has Godzilla facing Muto. There's two of these. One of them is the female, who's a much larger Muto compared to the other one, and then the male is one that's smaller and has wings, which the female does not. Which one did you like better? Did you like the male or the female Muto?
I like the boy one. But there is a third one, the Godzilla King of Monsters.
Yeah, we do see another one later on in one of the films, but as of this movie, we only see two. And they are interesting monsters, and they do take up, the movie's pretty much about them for most of the movie until near the end. They take up most of the screen time. If you do see monsters, it is these two monsters and not really Godzilla. But once Godzilla shows up and gets down to business in the third act, he steals the show. What did you think about the final fight between the Mutos and Godzilla?
That Godzilla is a savage.
Godzilla's a savage?
Yes.
Yeah, the final fight is Godzilla and the two Mutos in the city, and there's plenty of destruction, everything you expect from a Godzilla film. And the way that he kills one of the Mutos is kind of amazing. What does he do?
He grabs it by the neck and shoots fire down its throat.
Yeah. He grabs the monster and atomic breaths down its throat, and it's pretty fun to watch. It's definitely one of the coolest Godzilla battles I think I've ever seen. And like I said, this movie, the story is great. I like seeing the father trying to deal with what happened 15 years ago and trying to piece his life together and pretty much trying to figure out something that's been eating at his soul for the last 15 years. The only issue is they spend so much time on these characters. I could follow around Bryan Cranston the whole time. But Aaron Taylor Johnson and Elizabeth Olsen they are interesting, but at the end of the day, it is a monster movie, and they really focus too much on the human characters. With that being said, they kind of go the opposite way with the next movie, The King of the Monsters, and I think that they could have used more human moments. One thing I really enjoy about the movie is you get to see the monsters and what is happening with these guys from the humans' perspective, as much as you get to see kind of from ground level what it looks like with these giant monsters attacking the city, and it's kind of cool. It's definitely, I don't know, it seems like that's so much to take in, just imagining how you would feel in a situation like that. How would you feel in a situation like that, with these giant monsters that are hovering over buildings and everything?
I go to the top floor of the tallest building in the city, grab a cup of popcorn and a seat and watch.
You just eat some popcorn and watch the monsters?
And see who'd win.
I mean, that's all you can do, that's a good segue to talk about my favorite character in the movie, who is played by Ken Watanabe, who is this scientist who pretty much is saying that there's not much that we can do about these giant monsters fighting. Us being humans. He's just let the monsters fight. He's Godzilla is here to take care of everything, put balance back into the world. Just let him do what he's gonna do.
Just let him do his job.
And it's you've probably seen the meme where he's let them fight, and it's that really. I mean, that's really all you can do. And I think that he's the only character in the movie that really, I don't know. He's this is what's gonna have to happen. We have no control over these giant monsters. There's not a single thing we can do to these guys. So you just gotta let them fight. Admittedly, I have not seen every Godzilla film, but I think that this one is definitely one of the better ones since the original from 1954. There's a couple that really stand out to me, but this one, I mean, like I said, this one is miles ahead of the original American Godzilla film, and it's definitely better than a lot of the the 80s and 90s Godzilla films that I've seen, but it's still not completely on par with the very first one.
And there is one that was the first Godzilla in color. I think that one was a little better.
Right.
Because you got to see more of the monsters, two giant monsters fight each other.
Right.
Godzilla and Kong.
Right. There's plenty of monsters, but we get to the monsters soon. In the sequel to this film, the King of the Monsters, all the time that we do not spend with the monsters in that one, we definitely make up for in the future film. All in all, I really enjoyed this film. I saw it the first time in theaters in 2014, and I watched it again for the first time last night, which is the first time I've seen it since I actually saw it in theaters. And it held up pretty well. Like I said, the only thing that really is missing from this movie is a little bit more Godzilla. The human characters are much better than they are in most monster movies, but even then, you still want to see a little bit more Godzilla. So all in all, what rating do you give this film?
I give it a great.
Give it a great. I'm going to go with good for this. It could have used a little bit more Godzilla, but it definitely had human characters that you cared about. The only problem being that the human character that you cared about the most ends up passing away way too early in the film. But all in all, I think that it was a good start to this MonsterVerse, and I think that'll be it for this time.
Yeah, but except for a picture of Jeff Goldblum.
Oh yeah, there is the Jeff Goldblum picture. That's the only thing this video is missing. But alright, till next time.
Peace.